He said, would you be okay being a backup quarterback in the NFL?
What'd you say?
What would be your response to that?
No.
And so my response at the time, because I was a young man, I was probably 25. I was like, man, being a backup quarterback is the best game. That's the best job in the world, man. I'm like, you in the NFL, you don't got to do nothing. You sit there. And he's like, that's your problem.
So how was your week, man?
It was a good week, man. It's a productive week. It was a productive week.
Same here.
You cut some heads?
Well, I started out on Sunday at Ramsey County Juvenile Detention Center. I cut 17 kids.
17 kids?
Yeah.
How long does that take? Half an hour to cut?
Well,
I'm terrible at math, man.
Depending on what kind of haircut.
It sounds like about 8 hours worth of with the cutting.
Well, I got there, pulled in the garage at 8:55 and pulled out at like 7:24 p.m. 8:55 a.m. 7:24 p.m. But the thing about
Clippers is warm as hell. It's smoking.
No. I got like 6 pair I bring.
Oh yeah, you cycle them in and out.
Yeah, so each cut is probably like about 15, 20 minutes, depending on what they get, you know. But what I do is I tell them that I got a payment program, so every kid that gets a haircut, I tell them they owe me 20 push-ups to pay for the haircut, and so I do it with them. And so I did 340 push-ups while I was there too. So I started this workout called the 300. So I told myself I got to do 100 squats, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups each day. But that day I did 340. I didn't do no push-ups the next 3 days.
So you do all that stuff every single day?
I try to. And then if I don't, I hold myself accountable. Like last night I had to do 200 push-ups, 200 squats and 200 sit-ups. But I owed myself 400, so I just cut it in half. I had to do something before I went to bed, and so I did the 200 and 200.
Just body weight?
Just feet underneath the couch with a little, I got a mat that I got from one of my homeboys. It's a personal trainer. A little mat that goes underneath the small of your back and just doing sit-ups. I did them in about or 20 reps. So I did 20 reps, 5 sets, 2 times.
Man, Rob's the only guy I know that hasn't been to prison but works out like he's in prison. He works out like he's in the yard. He's like, let me get these recycling bins, man. I need something to step on. He's like, I want to do box jumps. He just turns over his empty recycling bin.
Hey, you got to use what you got. You don't always got to be at the gym. I told you, I haven't had a gym membership. My oldest is 21. I ain't had a membership since he was born. And I have been to the gym, but I only go if my wife, invites me or I go.
Man, this reminds me of Rocky 5, man. You remember Rocky 5?
I forgot about Rocky 5.
Rocky 5, you got the Russian, what's his name?
Oh, Ivan
Drago. See, he said, I forgot about Rocky 5. Oh, Ivan Drago?
Oh, that's
he knows exactly. And he has all the professional equipment and whatnot, and then Rocky's out here chopping wood and doing pull-ups on the door jam.
Calling me Rocky.
And that makes me Ivan, man. That's not good.
Kill him.
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. Ain't that what the trainer said? Kill him, or what did he say?
I don't remember,
the trainer
bro.
says
I don't remember.
If he dies, he dies.
They're coming out with a sequel to that with him.
Ivan?
Sylvester Stallone's like super mad, dude. So yeah, so you know how Creed brought him back.
Yeah.
And then Creed fought his son. And now they're doing a spin-off movie with them. Apparently, I don't know. Allegedly, they're doing a spin-off movie with them, and Sylvester Stallone's like super mad about it.
I would have compared myself to Mr. T. More Mr. T than the Rocky.
That's what your AI. That's what your AI picture looks like. Is Mr. T.
Glover Lang. My AI picture looked like 50 Cent
with one bad eye. I'm like, what's he looking at?
Yeah. So back to the week before you start calling me another movie sequel. I done been Sylvester and 50 Cent so far. My daughter turned 13.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
The Minnesota Board of Cosmetology approved my continuing education class.
Oh, that's a positive. We'll have to go out there. That's how I get my free haircuts, is going out to his trainings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's got to be the cameraman. He's got to shoot the classes.
That's a trade-off.
But he shoots the best videos. He edits the best videos. That's why we're here on the podcast. That's the only reason I did the podcast with him.
Thanks, man.
Yep. And what else?
Let's see. The Minnesota Vikings got lost and they out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah, you seen it firsthand.
I was there. All the haters out there saying, hey, they're frauds. They ain't going to make it. They're not that good. Their defense sucks. They're getting lucky. And I was like, man, you guys are hating. They were right. We lost early, but next year.
Yeah.
That's what I say every year.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope to see them win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, but I mean,
that's where we're at. He's like on his bucket list. Before I die, just need to see them Vikings win one time.
Okay, 0-4 in the Super Bowl? 0-3?
I think they're 0-4, man.
0-4?
I think they're 0-4.
Okay, so besides them, and who else was it? Like Buffalo?
Man, Buffalo's 0-3 years in a row.
You remember that Houston game? Or were you too young?
Man, I don't remember the Houston game, but I do remember that they lost 3 years in a row.
Oh, man. That playoff game in Houston, that was, go look it up on YouTube.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, that Houston playoff game was horrible. I think Warren Moon was a quarterback.
I remember Warren Moon was our quarterback.
Yeah, so that was years later.
So let's dive into today's topic, man.
All right, let's do it.
Let's dive into today's topic. So basically what I wanted to talk about today and what we decided to talk about today was productivity. So productivity is one of those things where it's hard. It's hard because there's always going to be thieves, man. There's always going to be people trying to take away from your productivity. And sometimes it's unintentionally, right? Like you could be working on something, you're a barber, but cosmetologist, but myself, doing real estate, I could be in my office. I could be typing stuff, sending emails, prospecting, right? And someone knocks on my door to ask me a question, to ask me for advice. I turn around, I talk to them. So not only do I stop doing what I'm doing, I turn around, I talk to them, I help them, I turn back. It takes me time to get back into what I was doing. They say that on average, when you get interrupted, it takes like 20 minutes of your time
to get back
just
focused.
to refocus, right? 20 minutes, man, just to refocus, because you can be flowing. And it's just like anything else, man. People who procrastinate, not that I procrastinate, I do. But let's just say people who procrastinate, it's like one of those things where it's like, if you just force yourself to start doing something, you'll start to see the action, right? It's like the cycle to success, man, right? Mm-hmm. You force action, and action is going to start to produce the successes, right? And then that's going to lead to more action. That's basically the way that works. So, and then someone comes in, interrupts you, boom, you stop.
I can see that.
Yep. So we're going to talk about this, and this is something I got from a book. The book is called The One Thing. It's a Gary Keller book. Gary Keller is actually one of the co-founders of Keller Williams, but this book is not really meant to be a real estate book. This is basically just a book on productivity, time management, time blocking. The first thief of productivity, man, there's 4 of them. Mm-hmm. All right. We're gonna start with the first one. The first thief of productivity is the inability to say no. Are you familiar with this?
Oh yeah.
The inability to say no. So in the book, this is a direct quote: "One yes must be defended over time by 1,000 no's." So the way to protect what you've said yes to and stay productive is to say no to anyone or anything that could derail you. So again, one yes must be defended over time by 1,000 no's.
I tell my wife every time she hears something about anything, any idea, anything, it's no. So she's about at about 800 no's right now.
So I mean, the whole idea behind it is, we all do this, man. I do this all the time. The inability to say no. Hey, can you? Dude, I've caught myself before photographing weddings before, man.
Because you couldn't say no.
Because I didn't want to say no to the person. I just wanted to help them out. And then here I am, late night with a cup of coffee, editing wedding photographs for 2 weeks, and I'm not a photographer. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You know, and that takes away time, right? It takes away from the things that you could be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was caught in that little realm for a minute until I really focused on what I was doing, and when I figured out that that's not helping what I'm doing, like that's not serving the purpose of what I'm doing. It's not even in alignment with what I'm doing. It's like, okay, I gotta practice saying no. I'll say yeah, but okay, now I gotta practice saying no. And when I say no, I gotta realize, okay, why did I say no? Because it's easy to say yeah all the time. When they say, Rod, can you go cut over here? Oh yeah, let me check my schedule. But if you say no, or let me get back to you, give yourself a second to breathe on it. You know what I'm saying? And check the family schedule. Don't jump in and then all of a sudden like, dang, I'm gonna go over here. We ain't talked discussion of payment. We ain't talked the time. We ain't talked how many people was getting cut. We ain't talked the setup. You know what I'm saying? You don't know nothing that's going on, but your vision and the person that's asking you to say yes, man, y'all in two different levels.
See, I think it all comes down to the Pareto Principle. You know what the Pareto Principle is?
Pareto?
The Pareto.
No.
Is more commonly called the 80-20 rule.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's the 80-20 rule. So basically, you know, we're all going to do things throughout our day, right? But 20% of what we do is going to net us 80% of the result. And this is proven time after time in everything, man. When it comes to money, when it comes to anything, 20% of what you do is going to net you 80% of your result, right? Mm-hmm. So it all comes down to that. If you say yes to everything, you're saying yes to some of those things that are going to net you 20% of your result. So really the key is to just figure out what's going to net you the most, right? It's just like that book Brian Tracy wrote. It's called Eat That Frog. Are you familiar with that? I think we talked about that actually in a previous podcast.
I think we did talk about that.
Yeah, it's basically if you have to eat a frog, you might as well eat the ugliest, biggest one first, right? Because it's going to make all the other ones seem easy, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's that same concept. You have to make sure that you're spending your time doing the things that are actually going to net you the highest benefit. So why do we say no? Again, these are direct quotes from the book. We say no because we want to be helpful. We don't want to be hurtful. We want to be caring and considerate. Mm-hmm. We don't want to seem callous and cold, which I completely understand. I mean, that's human nature. Mm-hmm. Being needed is incredibly satisfying, and helping others can be deeply fulfilling. So, I mean, somebody hits you up and says, Rob, I need your help. You're the only one that can help me. You're the only one that can do this. I really need to learn how to do box jumps, and you have 2 recycling bins at your house. I'm just kidding. And then focusing on our own goals to the exclusion of others, especially the causes and people we have value the most, can feel downright selfish and self-centered, meaning, sometimes when we say, we feel selfish when we're worried about what we're trying to do, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So there's always going to be an opportunity cost of saying yes, right?
Yeah, there is.
And so, if I decide that I'm going to go shoot somebody's wedding or do something else, maybe I'm missing one of my kids' basketball games. Maybe I'm missing one of my kids' football games, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe I got somebody who wants to look at a duplex, and I'm missing out on a financial benefit. You know what I mean? That's the opportunity cost that I'm running into from just not being able to say no. Mm-hmm. The second thief is the fear of chaos. Okay.
Who here works super hard to get business and then feels paralyzed by the stress that's related to doing all the business.
Okay, so here's the thing, man, about chaos. Right?
Is that your office?
No, I'm showing Rob a presentation. This is an office of a coworker of mine, and really? he looks like a mad accountant. Like he has 0 desk space.
That is not. That's not a coworker.
This is a coworker of mine. So, and I took a picture of this for a fact because, or I said to prove a point, I should say, because the second thief of productivity is the fear of chaos, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a very successful person. Mm-hmm. And he's not fearing the chaos. And as you can see in this picture, which no one else can see, Man, there's piles of paper up to here. You know, he can't even get in his office. He needs like rock climbing gear to get into his office just to sit down. He's got a clothes hamper that he's using to carry files around, right? So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, when you strive for greatness, chaos is guaranteed to show up, man.
Yeah, it is.
When you strive for greatness, chaos is guaranteed to show up. It's Albert Einstein who said, if a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, of what then is an empty desk a sign of? Think about that for a second, man.
That makes sense. But, I mean, if he had OCD like us, then, you know, it'd be a little bit neater, a little less chaotic.
You know, it's just one of those things where what I really believe this thief is about is, you know, it's just like there's always going to be a million things that you got to do. When you wake up in the morning, if you were really to say, I'm going to make a list, this is why I don't do to-do lists, right? I do what I call a success list. And it's because if you did a to-do list, what would happen is I would sit and think of what's every single thing I got to do today. It would be a million things. I'd write them down, and then I'd cherry pick them. I'd be like, all right, what can I get done quick and easy right now from this chair?
Skipping over stuff.
And I'd be skipping over all the important stuff, and I would get everything done that meant nothing. I would get done that 80% of the things I need to get done that's going to net me that 20% result, rather than getting that 20% down, those harder things, those things that are going to lead me to success. Well, that's why I call it a success list, right? And so we're always going to have things that we need to take care of. So, you know, we can always clean off our desk later. We can always handle our business. Some of those minor things, we can always take care of that after we get the more important things done. Mm-hmm. You got anything to add to that?
No, not really. I mean, you kind of broke it down. You make your list of your to-do list, and I mean that's like, okay, my first thing is to wake up, then brush my teeth, then eat, you know.
Yeah,
it's like go get some clothes on. That's a long list.
I mean, and it ain't even that. And maybe it's like I gotta make a phone call. I gotta call this person. I gotta do this thing. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know, your success list should be like, this is my main objective. This is what I want to do. My objective today is to set an appointment for next week or something like that. Right?
I do have something to add to that.
Yep.
Because last week I kind of did the same thing without knowing that we were going to talk about this. So, in one day, I think I talked about it on the last episode, or one of the episodes we did. And one day I talked to the publisher of the book, the Robert Neighbors, story of Robert Neighbors, coming out March 13th this year, 2023. Pre-order it on neighborscut.com. That's NABORSCUT.com. But it drops on March 13th, 2023. So in about a couple months from now. But what I was saying...
Hashtag shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. So what I was doing, I was talking to the publisher. Then I talked to a lady about editing a paper for the class. Talked to a lady about the cosmetology continuing education class. Then I think I was talking to you all day about the podcast we were going to shoot that night. And talking to one of the COs that does the programs at ADC to cut hair. So those were the things I needed to get done. You know, regardless of whatever else I had to do, you know, like the little other things. But the things that I had to get done, I had to make them phone calls. I had to send out those text messages, because if I hadn't done that, you know, it would have carried over to the next day. And we all know what the next day is. You don't know what's coming the next day, you know, if you're blessed to even see the next day. So get it done while you can.
I think the main like takeaway from this is everybody, when they wake up in the morning, and actually it's better to do this at night before you go to bed.
Make the list.
Make the list of not like I said, not a to-do list, but 3 to 5 objectives that you need to do. And for me personally, I try to do the things that are important before noon. So if you can get up in the morning, and maybe you work overnights, maybe your noon is a different time. But you know, in the first, you know, if I wake up at between 5 and 6:30 every day. Before noon, I want my 3 to 5 main objectives done.
This morning I did that. Set out a post and sent out an email. The emails that I needed to send out for the podcast. Sent out a post for a haircut. Put a reel out. Because I know once I start getting behind the chair, I'm not going to have time to do any of that.
See, and you got a different situation because you got to actually do like cut hair and all that stuff all day. For me, you know, I want my afternoons to be basically reaping what I sow. So I'm sowing my stuff before noon. So if I'm trying to get appointments with people, if I'm trying to set up meetings with people, I want to go ahead and be able to meet with people after noon. And that's the way that I run my business.
Okay.
Let's move on to the thief number 3. Thief of productivity number 3. Thief of productivity number 3 would be, I should say, the third thief of productivity is poor health habits. Poor health habits, which
that'll get you every time.
That gets you every time. Rob's a little bit more healthy than me in terms of his daily routines here.
What makes you say that?
Because you're always eating healthy, and Rob just watched me eat a couple slices of pizza before this podcast.
And you swear I was joking.
Rob probably ate like 2 pounds of cod this morning, man, for breakfast.
You swear I was joking.
He poured almond milk over some cod. He poured a little coconut grease up in there, coconut butter.
Too much credit. One word, energy. And that determines on what you eat. That's a big part of your day.
If you don't take care of your body, where will you live? I don't know where I heard that quote, but
sleep too.
But it makes sense, man. It makes sense. Yeah, sleep too. Morning workouts increase your blood flow. And if you've never brainstormed on a treadmill, man, have you ever brainstormed on a treadmill? Have you ever brainstormed? You don't have treadmills, man. People, the way he works out, he don't do treadmills, man. You don't
do
treadmills.
Stationary bike.
You got a stationary bike?
Yep, it's about 21 years old.
He's got the little joint that he puts his real bike. He sets it up and just makes the wheel spin.
No, I got an old stationary bike.
He's got 2 milk crates, man. He puts his bike up on the milk crates and just lets the wheel spin.
Why can't I have anything that everything's got to be some contraption? I just can't have no regular bike. I don't got a Peloton. No.
So, dude, just getting your blood flowing, man. It increases serotonin for me. I mean, most of my best ideas, I get all my motivation through this cardio. So, I did 75 hard last year, and dude, I
remember that.
Yeah, so I went from like probably 210 pounds down to maybe 207 down to 183 pounds, sub 10% body fat, and part of that was like, when you work out it really has no bearing on whether or not it's morning. I should say when you work out in the earlier part of your day, because some people wake up later in the day because of their work schedule, and then you do something that's going to get your blood flowing, right? You get that blood flowing to your brain, you think better. You get the increased serotonin, which makes you happier, right? It puts you just in a positive state. It helps you to achieve the rest of your goals. You know what I mean? For me, when I'm working out and I'm eating healthy, I'm actually doing everything right, usually, right? When I'm not working out and I'm not eating healthy, a lot of times you sacrifice health for other things, right? If you're in sales, a lot of times you'll focus on sales, you'll sacrifice health. But then at the end of the day, you realize you're not happy even with all these increased sales because your health ain't right.
It's always going to be something that's going to be off balance when you're heavy in other areas, and you'll know it. It's just the fact that you have to pull yourself out of what you're doing to go ahead and try and balance everything out, because when it gets unbalanced, man, it's just like when you don't work out for a while. You know you need to work out, but what is that? What is that one thing that's going to get you back going? When I know I haven't worked out in a while, I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow. Mentally saying that, but then I'll get down and give myself 20 push-ups just to get that blood flowing, to, get that, feel that pump. And you're like, you know what? I need to get back to this tomorrow.
When you don't work out, man, for me at least, I just feel soft, man. I just feel soft. I just feel weaker.
Yeah. You feel like flabby.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So like when you say get down, get the pump going, it's like when you get the pump going, when you're used to, I mean, I've been working out for like 25 years, man. So when you get the pump going, man, you know.
Yeah, you just build up on that momentum because who was that was telling me something about working legs kind of gets whatever else you're working. Like if you work legs the day before, I don't know how true it is, but working legs.
If you work legs, I don't know how true this is. Again, this is just like bro talk myth, but
yeah,
from what I understand, you work legs, your testosterone will actually increase because the legs are the biggest muscle in your body.
And to pump blood towards other muscles that you work the following day.
Yeah, it like increases your testosterone by like 20%, I've heard.
Yeah.
I have no clue if that's true. I'm no doctor.
I don't know. I did 200 squats.
I'm no doctor. This is not financial advice.
I did 200 squats last night, so I'm just trying to test it out. So we'll have to see what exercise I do next.
Yeah, man. If you end up getting jacked, bro, we know it's from them 200 squats. So let's go into the last thief, man. The last thief of productivity. Your iron.
This is a big one right here.
This is a big one, man. This is a big one. I'm glad that you stopped me because I was speaking non-English. I said you're.
Yeah. No, this is a serious one because you have to be in the right environment. So environment doesn't support your goals, man. That's
man.
big.
Yeah, when your environment, the people around you don't support your goals. So no one lives or works in isolation. Every day throughout your day, you come in contact with others who are you're influenced by them. Unquestionably, these individuals impact our attitude, your health, and ultimately your performance. So if you're around people who aren't, they always say that, married people should be equally yoked, and that's typically a biblical term, meaning equally yoked in terms of their faith. But when you look at, just the people you spend your time with, if you're in total disagreement about your life goals, that's going to impact both of you, actually, to be honest with you. So it's one of those things where it's like, you need to be around people who are sharing common goals with you. And also, if somebody, if say you're around people that ain't sharing your common goal, maybe people laugh at your goal, right? You can just say, well, they're not your dreams, they're not your goals, right? And you gotta kind of keep your head down and start focusing on your goals. I actually have a personal story with this because I'm a real estate agent. Real estate is kind of like a commoditized business, right? There's a ton of houses for sale. There's a ton of people that are selling those houses, right? So you have to try to set yourself apart in order to be successful. And when I first got my license, I was a young man, and I had a lot of people telling me that it was goofy that I was doing it. A lot of people who I actually looked up to who didn't think I was going to succeed, right?
But you believed in yourself.
But I believed in myself. And I remember inviting somebody to my house one time, and he sits down and he goes, how'd you even get this place? How'd you afford this place? He's like, are you the most successful realtor on the planet? This is the same guy who 10, 15 years ago was telling me that it was stupid that I got my real estate license and I shouldn't even do it. He was almost physically laughing at me for doing it because so many people have it. Because like I said, when it takes 90 hours to get a real estate license, a lot of people have a real estate license. A lot of people have quit real estate. They say like over almost 90% of real estate agents quit in the first 3 years. And that's because it's a very competitive business. A lot of people have a license. A lot of people join and quit.
That kind of reminds me of working in shops. So you can be in shops around people that aren't striving to become what you're trying to become or achieve what you're trying to achieve. And so you kind of get stuck in, you're kind of complacent. And so you're not growing. Even if you want to grow, you're not growing because where you're at. And so once you break out of that environment and you get somewhere where you're in an environment where you're around people that are striving and chasing their goals like yourself, that puts a little bit more wind behind your sail. It kind of gives you a little bit more confidence to chase after what you're chasing after. But not everybody wants to grow. That's the thing. So you probably, if you're not trying to grow, you wouldn't even know if your environment is supporting your goals or not, But if you have that mindset of wanting to grow, you'll know that where you're at right now is not supporting your goals. where you want to be or where you want to go.
It's kind of like people talk about going down these negative spirals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, spiraling out of control. If you're around positive people, you will actually have a positive spiral. You will spiral into control. And so for me too, like I used to sell real estate in a smaller market. I sold real estate around people who sold a lot of real estate, but they didn't sell. It wasn't like an unbelievable amount of real estate. And all it really took was me just changing geographic locations to be around people who are selling more homes for me to sell more homes, because I got to see what they were doing. I was like, all my peers are doing this. Why can't I do that? Or sometimes even have the mindset of, if that guy can do it, I can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most powerful things somebody told me one time is, I was a younger dude in the business. I was a younger agent, a successful agent, didn't even work for my company. I asked him out to coffee just because I wanted to pick his brain. And one of the things he said to me is he said, would you be okay being a backup quarterback in the NFL?
What'd you say?
What would be your response to that?
No.
And so my response at the time, because I was a young man, I was probably 25, I was like, man, being a backup quarterback is the best game. Oh, that's the best job in the world, man. I'm like, you in the NFL, you don't got to do nothing. You sit there. And he's like, that's your problem. And I was like, what? I was like, I answered that wrong. He was like, that's your problem. He's like, you're going to sit out there. You got your peers making, at the time, it was a little bit smaller contracts, but he's like $80 million or $100 million contracts. He's like, and you're sitting there on the rookie minimum as a backup. He's like, if anyone who's doing the same job as you is making $100 million, your mindset should be, you should be making $100 million.
Facts.
Right? And so I was like sitting there drinking my coffee, like, dang, man, that makes perfect sense to me. You know what I mean?
But that was your spiral. He spiraled you into control.
He did. And so it's Jim Rohn that has the famous quote that we're the average of the people we spend our most time with. He actually says we're the average of the 5 people that we spend our most time with. Mm-hmm. So if you guys are spending time with people who are not successful, who don't have a positive mindset, who aren't on the same path that you're on, and who don't believe the same things you do, it's time to do like a networking group, or it's time to get around more positive-minded people.
I should probably bring that networking group back, huh?
You probably should. There's a perfect time to do that, Rob.
Mm-hmm. I only did it once, but people wanted it. We can actually do one together. We can do a podcast.
Man, should we do the Rob and Corey Show networking group, man?
Why not? Anything's possible.
We should, man.
Let's spiral into control.
The Rob and Corey Conference. Hey, Rob, let's do some review, man. What are the 4 thieves of productivity?
Well, there's the inability to say no.
Inability to say no, that's 1.
Fear chaos.
Fear chaos, that's 2.
Poor health habits.
Poor health habits, that's a big one.
And the environment that you're in.
The environment you're in, not lining up with your goals.
Yep.
It's been real, man. It's a good podcast.
Yeah, it is. I hope some people can get a little clarity out there, kind of help them out. People that are in those environments that aren't supporting their goals, people that are having, bad.
Are you encouraging people to cut ties with their friends?
No, I'm telling them to get into an environment to where they feel that they can grow. There's a lot of people out there that want to do things that just don't know how to go about doing it, and this podcast kind of breaks it down. They can look at whatever their situation is, and like, am I living in chaos? But am I putting the work in, or is my diet or my health, is that an issue, or am I in the wrong environment? You know what I'm saying? So it's multiple things that they can look at. That's just a start. Some people just need that start, and I think these four steps that might help them, get a little blueprint of, get into.
And they're not even steps; they're thieves.
Well,
avoid these thieves.
Well, yeah, avoid these thieves, but take the steps to get out of the thievery area, if that's what you want to call it. Don't get stolen. Don't let them steal you. steal your stuff. Where can people find you at, Corey?
Man, you can find me at the Corey Melville on Instagram. That's my real estate page.
Okay.
And how about you, Rob?
They can find me on Instagram, Neighbors Cut, NABORS. CUT. You can find me on LinkedIn, Robert Neighbors. You can find me on Facebook, Neighbors Cut. Go and pre-order the book, The Story of Robert Neighbors. The Story of Robert Neighbors comes out on March 13th this year. It's my first book that I'll be writing and actually co-writing with Second Childhood Publishing. This is my first autobiography and very excited. Don't know what to expect, but go on neighborscut.com and read about it. See if you're interested. You can pre-order it, like I said, but it drops on March 13th. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Watch me educate. Yeah, we been could've started